YouTube fam, what is good? Yours truly, Marv, back with another episode of Marvin's Room. Thank you guys, as always, for tuning in and rocking with me. To the new subscribers, welcome to the channel. Got a great video today for you guys in regards to a viewer question. A viewer asked a question in regards to a video I did a couple years ago on third parties, and it was a really good question. So let's get right into it. And it goes like, in the video, you exemplified a situation that our specific person made a mistake with us, etc. But what about when my specific person is a great person and I was the one who made the mistake? I was jealous. I fought over silly things. I was the one in the wrong in the relationship. But after I got better, my SP left me. Thanks. So I wanted to address this question because I think it's a very good question, and I think it's a great time for self-reflection, because a lot of times when we get into a relationship, especially when we find out about law of attraction and law of assumption, it really allows us to hold up the mirror to our faces to say, okay, wow, I really did play a part in this. Because I noticed in working with people going on almost 3 years now, I noticed that a lot of people, they have a hard time looking in the mirror and looking at what they did wrong in a relationship, because it's so easy to always point the finger and say, oh, it's this person's fault. They did X, Y, and Z. I'm never the one at fault. I'm the one that's perfect, etc., etc. And like she was saying in this video that I made a couple years ago about specific person in third parties and why you shouldn't worry about it, in that video I kind of explained, hey, listen, they're the ones that messed up. Eventually they are going to come back around and realize, damn, I screwed up. I should have did this. Especially the faster you work on yourself and you work on your self-concept. But like she was saying in her question, what happens when the roles are reversed, when you are the one that screwed up? And that's what I'm getting ready to get into. So what I will say is a realization is always step number one, realizing, okay, I had a part to play in this, no matter what the part might have been, because it always takes two to tango, as they say, two to dance. You're not dancing by yourself. It's a relationship. When you peel back the layers, you can always figure out and look and say, hey, I might have done something wrong here, or I could have done something better over here, or maybe I shouldn't have done X, Y, and Z, or whatever the case may be. There's a myriad of things that you could plug in and say, okay, this was the outcome, but the outcome could have been different if I did this or didn't do this, whatever. But the reason, if you are the one that caused the breakup and you were the one that had the issues, a big reason is because you are living in the past. You continue to tell the same story over and over again. You continue to relive what went down. You continue to tell yourself, you have so much guilt, so much hurt, so much shame about what you might have done, and you continue to replay that story over and over again. And so I think with what Neville talks about, I think a great technique to do is two techniques. I believe revision is a great technique to do to revise the situations, but I also believe the I remember when technique, and so I think a way to heal, if you were the person that messed up in the relationship, is to start speaking in your affirmations and to go back and to start saying things like, speaking as if it no longer exists and it's no longer happening, because you're keeping yourself stuck by saying things and replaying things in your head by saying, oh, I was such a bad person for what I did to my specific person. You keep replaying that time of when you might have cheated on your specific person. You keep replaying that incident in your head of when you might have cursed them out, or you might have gotten to a physical altercation, or whatever the case might have been. You keep telling yourself that story and looking at yourself and being that person in the present moment. So even though it's, say for instance, right now it's 2023, even though it's 2023, your thoughts and emotions are still acting as if you're in the year that you went through with your specific person. So if that year was the year 2020 or 2019 or 2015 or 2012, whatever, the years go by, but the body is like a suitcase. It stores emotions. All your emotions and the words you're thinking and the emotions you're feeling are still in the past, in that time period of your life, which is why I always stress it's so important to go back and revise those moments and heal those moments, whether it's with revision, but also too, like I said, with this I remember when Neville Goddard technique. So what you can do is you can start to say things like, man, I remember when me and my specific person weren't talking, but I love how we're talking now. I remember when my specific person ghosted me for 6 months, but then out of nowhere they contacted me. I remember when we got in the nastiest fight, but we got over it. I couldn't believe we got over it. These are the types of affirmations you must start speaking to get yourself out of the past and into the present, because you're talking to yourself and you're relaying to your conscious mind and eventually your subconscious mind that this thing was in the past, but it's no longer happening because of your word choice. So now you're starting to collapse time and space and change the present as well as changing the future now because of your word choices. And so now, like I said, when you start to use those phrases, I remember when me and my specific person, or I remember when me and my ex weren't talking. I remember when, that their whole 30 days, I felt so much fear and anxiety, but I no longer feel it. I remember when they yelled at me or screamed at me. I remember when they called the cops on me. And I remember when I felt like I would never be forgiven, but I've been forgiven. This implies that the past is erased, that it's all in the past, and that the present is totally changed now, and that you guys are currently in contact. And so start speaking as if the stuff is in the past, even though you are currently still in the present moment, so you can get yourself into the present mindset and bring that collapsed time and space and make the future, how you would like it to be. But again, this starts with, you have to stop telling the old story, living in the past, speaking about yourself in a negative manner, looking at yourself in a negative manner, because you have to understand your thoughts and feelings and energy and your words, telepathy, all of that stuff is real. What keeps people away from you, from coming back into your life? What keeps people from apologizing to you? What keeps people from doing whatever it is that you want them to do a lot of times is people can feel your energy. And when you're at an energy level of being down here, your frequency, people can feel that, and they know, yo, this person still hasn't changed. And I noticed this myself personally when I had manifested a specific person back however many years ago it was, 5+ years ago now, at the time when I wanted to test it to see if it really worked. I noticed my specific person at the time was not changed. They were not healed. And I told you guys this was one of the mistakes that I had made when manifesting a specific person, is I noticed their energy level was still down here. They still had anxiety, still had issues they hadn't dealt with, still had a bunch of things. Yeah, they came back and reached out, and apologized and did all this other stuff. However, they were still the same person. And your thoughts and your energy and your emotions, your feelings, that goes out to the universe, and people can pick up on that. Telepathy is real. You can tell if someone's changed or someone's different or not. And this is a lot of times is why your person isn't reaching back out to you, because you haven't done the work, the self-concept work on yourself enough to make them feel like, oh man, this person is really different. I can tell they're a different person, a different being. I can tell they're ready for a relationship. I can tell they healed themselves. I can tell their self-concept is on this level. So again, it kind of always goes back to self-concept and self-love work. And so with that being said, it's like you got to stop telling yourself the old story. You got to stop looking at yourself saying, oh man, I was such an idiot for what I said back then. Oh man, I can't believe I said that. I'm so stupid. She's never going to forgive me. Oh man, I can't believe, I did this. He's never going to forgive me. He's never going to take me back. Oh, she's so much prettier than me. Oh, he's so much, like all of this stuff is negative self-talk, negative affirmations that you're doing to keep reaffirming the current situation, which is why the current situation continues to show up. So you have to stop telling that story and understand that in order to bring in the new, you have to stop speaking about the old. And that's how alchemy is ultimately created. And that's how ultimately you get your person back, is because now your vibration goes from here to here, your frequency rises. And all of a sudden, when your frequency rises, your aura rises, because we all have auras, we all have frequency. And so people, they'll know when they get around people and they've changed. They'll know, they'll be able to tell by how they speak, how they walk, how they talk, their whole swagger, their whole confidence changes. And that goes out into the universe. You can tell a confident person a lot of times just by looking at them, just by hearing them talk, just by their energy level. And what happens is when you start to work on your self-concept and your self-love, and also changing the story, doing the I remember when technique, that energy, that telepathy is going to go out there and it's going to change. You know, the chemistry in the air changes. The atoms, they change. You know, all of this stuff, it changes the energy. You can literally shift realities, quantum leap, into being a new person. And that what's going to happen is your person is going to start thinking about you more and more and more and say, man, like, you know, I remember this, I remember that, but I no longer care. I forgive the situation. And this only happens the more you work on your self-concept and say those kinds of affirmations, as well as stop living in the past, telling the old story, and start to say, yeah, I remember when I was going through that, but I'm not going through that anymore. All right, guys. Hopefully this video helped. Hopefully you got some gems from this video. I will talk to you guys next time in the next YouTube.